I'm going to sit back down.
Yep.
He says the rules are vague and you can drive a bus through it. Some years ago, I was working with a colleague whose job it is to review all the FTAs in Geneva in the WTO. And I said, let's do an interesting piece of research. Um, let's look at what people are saying. People are saying that everyone's signing FTAs these days, so people who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. And that's why we're not getting tighter disciplines on FTAs. So tell you what, let's take all the minutes of all the CRTA meetings and take those minutes coming out of the first 3 years of the implementation of the current transparency mechanism. The paper was called Cast Light and Evil Will Go Away. What we found was that behind the scenes, WTO members were criticizing each other severely for the kinds of RTAs they were signing. What they didn't want to do was to end up saying, I think your FTA is illegal. But they would say things like, you, Japan, we see you've signed an FTA with a developing country. The developing country is giving more than you. What's going on? So we do see a level of discipline there, and I think it's encouraging. I think that's it, right? One other point in relation to Pak Khatib, he mentioned these new trade issues. So what do you do when you get, if I understand him correctly, you get a country setting up 10 different healthcare standards because they've got 10 different FTAs which set the standards in different places, or 30 different smartphone safety standards. I used to write these laws, and people who write laws don't want to write 30 different standards. They don't want to write 10 different standards. So what this makes some of us think is that there is a hidden MFN dividend coming from FTAs. Once you get pushed to set your standard at a certain level, say a healthcare standard or some other regulatory standard, you will just multilateralize it because it's too difficult to write a law that has 30 different standards. And some of us are beginning to look at whether that could be a good effect coming out of FTAs. But that question was asked in the context of what's going to happen 20 years from now? Will any of this matter? We're living in a world where we can't talk about what's going to happen 20 years from now. We're living in a world where even today we're saying, let's say 3D printing really takes off by next year. If that happens, it's game over.